So this is week 5 of the Inglorious Bastards trilogy. We're in the second part called The Rise of the Mormagil. And hopefully some of these names that I'm throwing out there will start to make more sense after tonight. So we're on episode 5. This is kind of the halfway point. It is also, after this session, we're going to get a chance to do some sanctuary, a little bit of fellowship period, and we'll get to clear some of those shadow points off. So some of you guys are pretty close to having being miserable and then maybe having a bout of madness. Who had about John? You had a bout of madness last time, right?
Yeah.
So your shadow points reset, except you have one less shadow point. So you have one. I should say you have one permanent shadow point. Every time you have a bout of madness, you get one additional permanent shadow point. So your threshold is one less.
Yep. What's the threshold?
Your wisdom score.
Yeah. All right. So you guys, we just came off of session 4 where you went to the Tower of Pearl and Feredir transformed into his werewolf form, and you battled him and you managed to defeat him without killing him. Let's make sure everybody has done a short rest. So you get to use your hit dice. Make sure your HP threshold has been increased now that you're level 12. We didn't do a long rest. We may look back on this evening and decide that was a poor decision, but that's okay. That's what we'll make it work. Bish posh. All right. So,
and just when we get started after a short rest, I can give you guys 16 temp hit points.
All right.
Not
so
14 anymore.
Morloman is pretty low. Riken is a little bit low. Feredir's kind of low. So if anybody has a healing spell, might be a good time to bust that out.
Couldn't they use their hit dice?
They can use their hit dice, yep.
Yeah, do that.
Sorry, I just had to step off for a second.
Step off. I'm doing the hump.
So is everybody doing their...
They're doing some hit dice, just some healing. I think Riken probably could use that too.
I did my hit dice already.
All right. I see I
did 6 of them.
Okay.
How many do you get? You don't get the full thing, do you, for a short rest?
You get to use as many, I think. I'm not sure what the limit is. I can look up short rest.
I didn't remember. I mean, I think like you get 1 per level, essentially, right?
Let's find out.
That's what it says in this layer sheet. I don't really know what the usage for that is, though.
Character can spend 1 or more hit dice at the end of a short rest up to the character's maximum number of hit dice, which is equal to the character's level.
But that's like once I use all of them for short rests, I have to go through a long rest before I can use them all again, right?
Correct. Yeah, but I'm basically letting you know. Okay. After this, there's one map tonight, one fight, or not one fight, but one large map, and so there's not going to be a 2-parter tonight.
Okay, cool. I'll roll them all then.
Vic, are you all set?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Okay. All right. So let's do. We're going to do 1 Blighted Lands roll for the day, which is day 14 of your adventure, April 29th. So let's do a Blighted Lands Wisdom save. My cat says hello.
I was going to ask if that was in the game or.
Oh, yeah, that's what Daddy likes. Okay, well, Feredir failed, but I fucking passed it.
Oh, okay. Finally.
Did you get it? Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, all right. You guys are doing pretty good, except Feredir. How's Feredir holding up? Did you find where he's keeping his shadow points?
Yeah, I found it, but I don't know that it's... I mean, I guess it could be right. It says 4.
That's fine.
He has a wisdom score of 16.
That's fine. We'll just... He would know best. So, all right. So you guys are. Remember when you entered the pool, when you were about to enter the pool, because the pool is kind of like the portal. they basically said you remember hearing about this place, and that the pool could answer the desires of past loved one or places. Specifically those two things. Like, so you couldn't get in the pool and say wish for $1 million, right? But you could supposedly, like, there's some sort of the pool sort of immerses you immerse yourself in this magical pool of water, and it somehow senses the desires of your heart related to loved ones and places that you want to go. So in some ways it can be used as a gateway to other places, and that's why you came here. So they said, be very careful to clear your mind and to think about, where you want to go, because, when you get to the other side, it's like, you never know where people are going to appear. Like, weird stuff can happen if you're not focused. And I had you guys roll, but I think instead, based on conversations that I've had with each of you separately, I think I have a plan so we won't use that roll or ask you to re-roll. But for the most part, you guys are all kind of, and you can private whisper me now if we didn't talk during the week, if your mind is thinking about something else, and we can roll that in. But I do have a plan for tonight. All right. So what else do they tell you? The other thing they'll tell you is that in Okran, you would remember the Stone of the Hapless, at least the construction of. So the first Stone of the Hapless was a sort of a monument, like a classic, like, think of the tall John Hancock tombstone down in near Government Center or near Park Street, and it's something like that. It's like an obelisk, okay. but after a time,
right by Cheers, isn't it?
Well, yeah, on the other side of the park.
Sorry,
but so you heard after a time, because you sort of, I think you either had passed on or you didn't leave Dorloman much, but you heard after a time that the men of Brethel, which was sort of the last group of humans that Túrin Turambar was a part of, they built the Stone of the Hapless into kind of like a dungeon, because they knew when people from all around the land heard that the Black Blade, the Mormagil, had died, that people would come for his relics. He had the dragon helm of Dorloman. He had the Black Blade of Garthang, which used to be called Anguirel. So there were, and who knows what else was there, right? So they built this thing to basically protect the relics of their Black Blade. And so, but it's actually like 6,000 years old at this point. I mean, it's more like 6,500 years old. So this place, it's going to be kind of like falling down in some places, depending on how it was crafted. There's going to be traps. Go ahead.
Will I remember the tomb a little bit?
If you saw the tomb, you probably remember the first incarnation before they delved down into the earth. But go ahead and, since you're asking that, let's take a look at what lore cards are shared with you tonight. There's a few of them.
All right. Lore card.
And anything you guys have and you want to tell the group about that's come up so far, feel free to read. Lore cards.
To which are you referring? Just the Túrin Turambar, or?
Yeah, so anything that's come up so far, you're welcome to read it.
Okay. Túrin Turambar, first age man, foster son of Thingol of Doriath, rightful first age heir to Dorloman, outlaw, wielder of the Black Blade of Anguirel. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep. He reforged.
Thing.
Yep, perfect.
Killer of Glaurung the Dragon, wearer of the dragon helm, referred to as the Mormagil. Dun, dun, dun.
And that's the guy we've been talking about, right?
Yeah.
Great hero of men, except like lived a terribly just a terrible, grief-stricken life. Sister passed away when he was very young of the evil breath. You guys encountered some evil breath.
Yeah.
His father was captured by Morgoth. His father's kingdom was taken over by the Easterlings. He was sent to live with, and this is where you knew him, Vic. He went to live with Thingol and Doriath, and he was the foster son, but none of the elves really liked him, and so he ended up like going into the wild and becoming an outlaw for a while, and then he kind of rose to greatness in various places, and eventually was the slayer of the dragon Glauron, who was the scourge of the land at the time.
Have we talked about any of this prophecy of Mandos thing?
Oh, please, yes, share that. We have.
The first two there.
Yeah, I've got the 1 of 3 and 2 of 3.
That's what I got.
You guys, you want to remind people? This also has. So good. Start with part 1, and then you'll see why Turin is important.
Okay, it says the note says involves the events leading up to, during, and after the Dagorath. Thus spoke Mandos in prophecy when the Valar sat in judgment in Valinor, and the rumor of his word was whispered among all elves of the West. When the world is old and the powers have grown weary, Morgoth, the black foe of the world, seeing that the guardian sleepeth, shall come back through the door of night, out of the timeless void, and all shall be darkness. For the sun he will turn to black, and the moon will no longer shed its light. But the host of Valinor shall descend upon him as a searing flame, white and terrible. Then shall the last battle be gathered on the field of Valinor. Wow, I could not read that last sentence.
No, that was good.
Then shall the last battle be gathered on the field of Valinor. There you go. That's part 1. You got part 2, Vic? Do it.
Yeah, I can do part 2. In that day, Tolkas shall strive with Morgoth, and on his right hand shall be
Eonwë.
Eonwë, thank you. And on his left, Turambar, son of Hurin, returning from the doom of men at the ending of the world. And the black sword of Turin shall deal unto Morgoth his death and final end. And so shall the children of Hurin and all fallen men be avenged.
So it's starting to make. Is it making more sense why you guys are here? A little bit.
Because shit's gonna go down.
Is shit's going down?
So Turin's going to kill Morgoth according to this prophecy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
The same thing, right? Shit going down. Turin kill Morgoth.
What'd you say?
Just fucking with you. Never mind. Just ignore me. Carry on.
So before as you guys are like wading into this pool, they tell you that the creatures that would be at the stone of the Hapless, are very old indeed, and it's probably best that you try to slip in and slip out before you're noticed.
Name of your sex tape. Sorry.
I was going to say Vic is good at
Not
that.
just my sex tape.
Oh, that's good. All right. Before we're noticed, we got to slip in and slip out.
All right. All right. So are you guys ready for the next map? Anything else you want to ask Idril Tuor before we go?
Let's slip in.
Slip in.
Then slip out.
Yeah, nothing besides asking them if they want to give us stuff.
Yeah. Well, they do say. So as you're about to submerge yourselves, they remind you that the time between the where you are now and sort of the Blessed Realm, time between the Blessed Realm and Middle Earth doesn't. It took you 60 years to get here before, and you're traveling back to Middle Earth. So they say, we'll see you in a time, essentially.
All right.
All right, here we are. Dark.
Oh, I see it's dark. Oh, there we are. Top left.
You might notice that
we're split up.
There's a wall separating you.